Hockeytown Collide. And now your hosts, Rantin, Ron White, and D-Law, Dan Lawless.
Welcome to PredWings Podcast, episode 107. Made it another week, or actually 2 weeks now, but it's pretty light week. As we
catch up on the
mentioned earlier.
Wings and Crack it, or Wings and Crack. It's my first game.
Might as well be.
Nashville, yeah.
But I noticed, actually this is going back a couple days now, but it was 5 years ago that we attended a Buffalo-Detroit game in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Detroit lost in overtime.
Yeah, I don't remember that game. It's been so long ago, but anyway,
they lost that in overtime.
It was a fun game, even though they lost. But that was back when they were bad, weren't they?
Yeah, they weren't. I mean, they weren't great. They were on like the downhill.
But anyway, our social media, PredWings Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and X and YouTube is at PredWings Pod. And you can also follow us and listen on Podbean. And you can always email us at PredWingsPodcast@gmail.com. And speaking of the podcast, I think we have a little kind of a change to our schedule coming up, maybe. I think we're going to return to our old days.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I think that worked the best.
Yeah, Fridays always seem to be a nice day to record, and maybe we can get Dose back and get some more listeners. But so before we head into the recaps, I got a couple beer league minutes because we missed the show last week, but it's just the way life goes. So let's go right into the beer league minute. So the first game, I don't know if you remember, going back, we had won a game, and so going to this game, it was, I don't remember who it was we were playing, but it was a game we could have won. We jumped out to a 1-0 lead, and then of course they tied it up at 1. But then we ended up taking a 3-1 lead, and I had no goals against in the second period, so that was a really good period for me. But then the third period happened. I gave up 2 quick goals. I mean, they were almost like within a couple minutes apart or less. Tied the game at 3, so that sent it to overtime. And 14 seconds left. We scored a goal and won 4-3 in overtime. So that put our record to 3-2. And so last week, at this point we're on a 2-game winning streak now, and well, it was a team that didn't have a win. They were 0 something now, 0-3 or something. 0-4 maybe. I don't remember, but anyway, they don't have a win, and those are always the games that you got to kind of watch out for because you don't want to be the team to get to have them get their first win. We never trailed in this game. We had a 1-0 lead, but then, of course, they tied it up, and then we ended up scoring again to take a 2-1 lead, and then they came back and tied it up again. And then we took a 3-2 lead, and they tied it up again. But then we scored a couple. I was decent in the first period, kind of struggled in the second period. I believe I gave up the 2 goals in the second period, and then we scored 2 goals, obviously to take a 5-3 lead, and I was really good in the third period. I didn't give up any goals, so that's usually, it's as of late, third period's been, where I kind of struggle and give up goals that, a lot of times it could be a blowout, and I give up 2, 3, 4 goals, but And this one, no goals good, so that's good. Maybe I can, you know, change the third period, my third period. So that gave us 3 wins in a row, and wish the Preds could do that. But so 5-3 win. It was in regulation, obviously, and now we have a off week, a bye week this week. So just hopefully it's not a bad time. Unlike some of the other teams, there have a little break right now in the NHL. But I believe you have 2 games, starting with the Seattle game on 2-4.
Yeah, Wings continue the streak. They look good. And I thought they were gonna. Honestly, I thought this would have been a loss for them. But they played great through the entire game. One thing that I know it has changed since the beginning of the season. It was a common theme for me to often say, well, we just aren't producing the offense. Like, we're scoring on a very few amount of goal or shots that we're taking, but we're just not getting that offense. Well, now we're putting up 40 points or 40 shots a game. We're winning almost 60% of our face-offs. They were 50% on the power play. And we're starting to get goals by guys that matter. Everybody matters. We're getting goals by Lucas Raymond. The kid's hot. Just got a payday. He's looking good. Moritz Seider, another one. One of the top defensemen, I feel, playing at an extremely great level right now. He gets a power play goal. And then you've got Jonathan Berggren and Elmer Soderblom. All these kids are young. This is a young core of players. Like, I've heard Yzerman talk about the nucleus. Well, you're starting to see it build. I doubted it. I take everything back. I know I've said that a couple of times on a couple of different shows, but the process is actually coming to fruition. The young nucleus is starting to form, and the Wings are starting to win some games. So we keep it rolling with Seattle. However, with all good things must come to an end at some point, they say. And that's exactly what happened.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But, that's exactly what happened in Tampa Bay. Detroit, dropped a 6-3 game. Lyon got yanked early in the first. Just an ugly game. Kaner gets a goal. The Cat gets his 24th. But this game, Detroit just looked tired. And I'm not saying any excuses. You want to win every game. But
they had a 4-day break between the two, so
they looked sluggish out there. They still put 37 shots on goal. I mean, they're still putting up the offense, but they just weren't. They looked defensively lacking. The slot was starting to get open again. Yeah, it wasn't a good game. That's all you can chalk it up to. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning are not a terrible team. So it's okay. It's okay because we're getting a much needed rest right now. The guys are getting healthy, getting some rest, and can continue on after the break.
Yeah, but is this a bad time for the break? I mean, I know they just coming off that loss, but nice. But it's they had a good win streak there,
Yeah.
and they got 7-2-1 their last 10. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that loss was a good thing because then they can kind of I'm sure
regroup and come back. Yeah, I agree with you.
They're practicing, so. We'll see what happens after the break.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how's.
It's kind of upset for the Predators. I mean, I think this might be a good time for a break because Ottawa game, I don't know. It was just an ugly game. Second period started with Ottawa on a power play. Not sure. I didn't really get to see much of this game, but. I turned it on the second period, and Ottawa starting the second period. I mean, the second period puck didn't even drop, so something must have happened at the end of the first period. But Forsberg scored. He was on a scoring streak, but that ended a couple games ago before this one. Preds, they getting penalty troubles. They got a double minor. I don't know how Ottawa. I mean, Ottawa got one penalty, so they ended up on a power play with that. But there is no way the Predators should have got two penalties. One, yes. I don't. Now it's been kind of long ago. I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was definitely, it should not have been two penalties on the Predators. I mean, take them both, and they did give Ottawa one on that, but just the rest missing calls again. That's something we haven't really. I mean, they've been pretty decent this year about that. There has been some missed calls, but I don't really remember seeing it as much of a recurring theme like it was last year. But Marchessault, he continues. He had a power play goal to start the third period. That tied it at 2 at the time, and they were 0 for before that. They were 0 for 11. The Predators were 0 for 11 on the power play before that goal. So, that's how things go for the power play. As a power, usually how your team goes. Not always, but a lot of times, if you're not scoring the power play, you're usually not winning, because that's a huge advantage. But they just, they fell apart again, and I don't know. I mean, they're just so inconsistent, and it's like they're finding ways to lose rather than finding ways to win. Totally opposite Detroit.
It's hard. They're a newer squad together. I mean, you're bringing a lot of veterans who are used to the big time leadership roles. There's a lot of changes, and I like what Trotz did. He went all in, but it's kind of backfiring. I mean, would you agree a little bit?
Yeah, but as of late, they're playing a lot more, rookies and I don't want to say rookie, but younger players. But Saros gave up 4 goals in this one, and I mean, I hate to say it, but is it time to think about moving him? Because I mean, if he's on his downfall now, if you wait another year or two, you're not going to get anything. Right now, you're probably going to get your best return. Just finish.
Don't know. I don't have that answer.
I got a couple more recasts, but just before
what else do you have though? Because you don't have Askarov anymore.
Noonan's looked pretty good in the games he's played.
He has.
And
you got to have somebody else though.
Well, they got Matt Murray that's in the minors right now. He could be a good backup until he's ready to start. And then maybe, if you move Saros, you probably will get a goaltender of some kind. Probably not an elite, or, who knows. I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe that's not in the plans. I don't know. But speaking of prospects, the Preds are ranked 8th in prospects by The Athletic. Not that I want to advertise them, but they're.
It's a state the source.
It's a sports publication. Couldn't get that out. But then they had to go to that was a home game, and then they go to a quick trip to Chicago, and I don't think they left Nashville because 6-2 loss, blowout loss. More of the same. I don't know. And then, of course, there was a back-to-back, so they had to go right back home to play Buffalo.
No, I was just going to say, in the last game, you guys still outshot Chicago. I'm just wondering, you guys just don't have that offensive spark, it seems like. And I'm going to bite my tongue here, but in the last game, they're just not finding the net.
I said, all the time. It's inconsistent, and I mean, and then of course they're playing they're playing teams now that, because they're so bad, they're starting to play like the backups. So it's probably why they're scoring goals. I don't really have the stats to see how they do against like starters. But anyway, before this game, they usually have the keys of the game, and it's kind of funny because the broadcasters, one of the keys they said embrace the suck, and I guess the team kind of rallied around that, and so as I was saying about the backups, Buffalo started looking in their young. He's not a rookie anymore, but so he's definitely not their starter as far as I know. And in this game, the Preds went with a Noonan because it was a back-to-back. Saros played in Chicago, so but the Preds started out slow, and that seems like their thing. Sometimes they start out good, but a lot of times they'll start out slow. But Tommy Novak, one of the younger players, he scored first. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists in his last 10 games, so it's good to see. It's good to see him. And then Brady Shea, which he's a defenseman. He hasn't really been scoring a lot. He put the Preds at 2-0, and so we're thinking, oh, good.
You guys were outshot that game too.
Oh yeah, especially in the first period. It didn't feel like they were getting dominated. I mean, it was 13-10 shots, so it wasn't really a big margin. But then they gave up those two quick goals at the end of the first period, about 3 minutes apart. So that started tied the game going into the second period, but then Forsberg scores a power play goal. That was his 20th, and then Brady Shea again. So it was good to see him get multiple goals, and the Preds, they just weren't playing physical. They weren't hitting, and then later in the game they did start hitting, but for part of that period, second period, the first and second period, they weren't physical, and something just. I mean, they did end up with 33 hits in the game, which it's a lot as far as but as far as power plays, it was very. I mean, it was each team only had 2 power plays, so it wasn't. I mean, it was good to see that the rest kind of let them. It wasn't a big special teams game. Both teams were 1 for 2 on the power play, so the penalty kill is getting a little bit. I mean, they were really hot, but at the beginning of the year, and I think the Preds have to get back, with that good penalty kill like they did earlier in the season. But during the 6-game losing streak, the Preds were 1 for 15 on the power play. And that's, like I said, in the Ottawa recap, that's probably, it's starting to be a recurring theme. And as far as, your power play has to, convert. I mean, they only had 2 chances, so they're 50%, so that's pretty good in this game. But they just, in one of the goals, Forsberg, really nice, smart play. You can't underestimate this play. This I believe, I don't know if he got an assist for it, but he was like in front of the net, or kind of like the side of the net, not screening the goaltender. But just as a shot, it was, I think it was Shea's second goal, and he did not get an assist on it. Or actually, the second goal, yeah, he did not get an assist on it, but he played an instrumental part just as a shot releases, Forsberg reaches out with his arm and puts it right in front of the goalie. He didn't touch him. He did not interfere or touch the goalie. Just stuck his and it's kind of like a flash screen. So yeah, I thought it was a really smart play. And as a goalie, something like that happens. All of a sudden, you're concentrating on the puck, and all of a sudden, something comes into your vision, and you either don't see it or it takes your attention away, and just for that split second, boom, puck found its way in. So, that's just that was probably why. I mean, he probably would. Luukkonen probably would have had to save if he wanted. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have. But that, looking at that play, that was just a really smart play. But, Buffalo just keeps coming back, and a little bit of lucky bounce, cut it to 1, but then Forsberg gave him another 2-goal lead, and that was huge in this game. Then in the third period, because Buffalo just cut it to 1, and they get some momentum going, but Buffalo still wouldn't give up. They cut it to 1 again, and then Marchessault nails home the empty net goal. It's really pretty much all I want to say about this one. So they ended up with a 6-4 win, and that ended their 6-game losing streak, and that put them right into the the break. So, and the younger players, they're actually playing better than the veterans. Forsberg and O'Reilly had in March, so had a good game in this one, but the younger players, and they're playing a lot more younger players. The team had 26 blocks in this game, so they're blocking shots. It seems like they play different. I mean, obviously you will play a little bit different depending on which goalies is playing, but it seems like they play dramatically different, whether it's Saros or Noonan. I don't know if they're so used to Saros when he's on top of his game, or maybe they just, or maybe they feel, I don't know, because Noonan's come right in and played, I thought at times better than Saros. Even under pressure, with a lot of shots. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into that a little bit too much, but I'd have to look and see if they block as many shots with Saros. And then Shen, he actually tied the franchise record with 11 hits in this game. 11 hits in a game. So they actually had, like I said, they had 33 hits. So they didn't, at times they weren't playing physical enough. And then I think they started, second, third period. But overall, I think it's a good time for the break for the Predators. It's a good reset for not only the players but the coaches, and because they only have I think the Predators only have 4 players that are playing in this Four Nations tournament thing, but they can get injured. Although there's only a couple injured players, Lazan and Jankowski, which they should be able to come back. They should be back in time for the break, or they'll be really really close. So, but
only time will tell.
And Joachim Kemmel, he got called up. He got called up for the Chicago game, his first NHL game. So he did his little rookie lap, and he did that. Actually, it was he did it helmetless. So
I think the one was a Dylan Duke, or something like that for Tampa Bay. Did the same thing without a helmet, so I'm sure he got the fine. Might not have been reported yet, but league rules.
I haven't heard. I didn't think he did, and Joachim Hemmel didn't either. But I mean, that was before the warm ups, and he comes out in his rookie lab. He comes out. They all come out first and stuff like that. So, it's. I don't see it's a big deal. I don't. They should not be a fine. It's. I mean, obviously. I mean, if you do that during a game, yeah, obviously, because I mean, although back in the day, players didn't even wear helmets. So,
enforcing these types of rules.
As far as the classification and rules, and like as far as suspensions, I know we're talking about suspensions. Hartman and Minnesota, obviously we talked about Hartman with this 10-game suspension. We talked about that last week in our last episode. But something else happened. I think Hartman was he's suspended. Something happened in their next game. I don't remember what game it was. I don't remember who they were playing, but I guess they got pretty rough in that game as well. So just typical Minnesota, I guess. But anyway,
great again.
But the NHLPA, which I guess they do that to a lot of suspensions, they're appealing suspension, but it's not so much for like getting him, getting the suspension down so he can come back because he's still on that 10-game suspension. I think it's more because he had to forfeit salary. I think it's used more so he gets some of that because he's 10 games without pay. And plus, I don't know if there is a fine unless that salary, whatever he misses for those 10 games, goes to the player's safety fund or whatever it's called. But I believe, and that there was somebody else that had appealed. I want to say the Vancouver. Was there Vancouver? But somebody else did that, and to get their salary recouped. I don't remember if it was successful or not. But as far as I know, we were talking about how repeat offenders and what they use to clarify a repeat offender or a non-repeat offender. But according to the NHL, a repeat offender is considered 18 months following their most recent incident that results in a suspension. So, like Hartman, I believe I think he had one within 18 months. But if he had, he gets suspended, and then within that 18-month period, he gets another suspension, he's considered, or another incident, I should say, he's considered a repeat offender. And that is also, a repeat offender is used to determine the amount of salary that's forfeited. And if it's not a repeat offender, past history, like say he gets suspended and then you're good, you don't get any incidents in like 19 months later, 20 months later, say that, and you have no incidents, you're not considered a repeat offender, but they use their past history to be considered in salary. As far as a non-repeat, they lose salary based on the number of days in the season, not games, days, number of days in the season. So whatever that could be, but a repeat offender loses salary based on the number of games in the season. So, and it's a ratio. It's like 82 games. And then they divide something, whatever, and then that determines how much of the salary. And then, like, for a non-repeat offender, it's the number of days. I don't remember, so it could be. I think that might change, and I didn't really get too in depth into it, but that's basically what I got for that. So just clarify it. That so that 18 months is very huge. Because I mean, incidents happen. It could be if it's it could be something that's you don't mean to. It could be like incidental or whatever, but they still have to it could result in injury or whatever. But in any case, so that 18 months is key. So you gotta try to stay clean. I mean, obviously your past history is going to come into it by the play.
Well, certainly.
But yeah, so that's a little bit more clarity as far as
now
that.
We got to talk about what everybody's talking about. You got to agree, right, D-Law?
The snooze fest.
Snooze fest.
I don't know. I haven't been watching any of it.
Yeah, busted. We busted you. No, it's incredible. It is incredible. So, as you know, I'm not getting into politics, but there are political drivers to the actions of the Canadians. I understand all sides. I get it. I'm not playing into the card. But the Canadians booed the national anthem.
Bunch of jerks.
There are some guys on the team. I guess there was a group chat between, as Brady put it, between Matthew, Millsy, and myself, and the three of them within 9 seconds had all gotten into a fight. So you're going to boo the anthem, we're going to beat you down.
You moron.
And then we're going to beat you down on the scoreboard. So, but the game itself, D-Boss got the game winner. Probably one of the most exciting moments it's got to be in his career. But so you've got D-Boss getting the game winner. And the cool thing was, D-Law, is that the Wings have two players, Raymond and obviously Larkin. Raymond has been playing pretty well for Team Sweden. He's got a few assists. They did just take that loss to Finland in overtime, that was actually a pretty exciting game also. I mean, all the games so far have been exciting. Canada's been in 2 exciting games. It's fast. I would honestly, D-Law, I would watch this every single year. Like, I legitimately hope that they have every plan on keeping this tournament year after year, because it's short, it's fast in terms of the duration of the tournament itself. So these guys are playing for everything right off the bat, and it's just incredible how fast and how hard they are. I mean, if you think about this line, you've got Tkachuk, Eichel, Matthews, Larkin, Boldy. I mean, Canada, you've got McDavid, Draisaitl. You've got who else is over there? Sid Crosby. Just some big name. I mean, it's like the All-Stars, but they're actually playing for something meaningful as a team. I just think it's an incredible tournament. I'm having fun watching it. I can't wait to watch Raymond and Larkin square up and just see what happens there. I know Larkin already said that he's not going to go hard. They're teammates and they've got a bigger picture to worry about. But if he sees an opportunity, he'll take it. Just he's not going to take a cheap shot or take a run at him. They've kind of made that mutual agreement. But after watching this latest game with Team Canada and the U.S., who knows? All bets could be off at this point. Like I said, D-Law, you got to tune in. Is
it really playing for something though? It's not like they're playing for the Stanley Cup. But I mean,
they're playing for their country, their pride.
They do that in the Olympics too.
Yeah, but are the NHLers allowed in the Olympics this year?
there is an Olympics this year.
Or 2026, sorry. If we want to get
Well,
technical.
I mean that's another thing that shouldn't be. I mean we can talk about that another day.
But I'm just saying, like you
Olympics
brought it
shouldn't
up.
be
You brought it up, but I mean, should the NHLers be allowed to play in it? In your opinion, we'll just do a simple yes or no right now.
Well, Olympics should be non-professionals the way it always has been. So I
Okay,
say
so non-professionals. So where do you get an international tournament with professionals that isn't juniors? You don't.
NHL.
You're watching it right now. No, that's not the NHL. The NHL is the NHL. It's not basically.
It's
taking the best players on the planet of the Earth and putting them on one.
Still international. I mean, even though they're
of course it's international. I'm just saying, but it's a very small scale of people, of talent. You're taking the best players. I mean, Patrick Kane isn't on this team.
That's because
Alex
he's
DeBrincat
old.
isn't on this team. No, they're both incredible hockey players. Incredible. But they're just not good enough to be on this team. That's how good the talent is on this team. You are taking the best players in the world and putting them in their country's uniforms and putting them on the ice. They haven't been able to do that. Juniors, they did it. The Olympics, they can't. This is it. And it's exciting.
But then you got Ovechkin and Vasilevsky that aren't playing in it. So I mean,
yeah, I know. Maybe I'm hoping they grow it. Bring a Russian league and bring a German league. But the problem is it's NHL only.
They're
not allowing anybody outside.
Not to get into politics, but being in this political climate, I don't think they would allow Russia into this tournament. Otherwise, they probably would have had 6 teams.
If they've got teams and players, why not? But they need to find one more. That's the problem. And I just don't think because it's an NHL. It's an NHL only tournament. They cannot take from like the Russian leagues. They can't take from like the German leagues. They are literally taking it from only the NHL. So if there's enough NHLers, then
Sweden and Finland has a lot more, but Sweden there really isn't a lot.
Apparently, go ahead.
Then again, I don't. It just, how did they fill their roster? Because U.S. and Canada got the market, and
you got to look at the team just before. I mean, it's hard. You got to look at the team. You got to see who's on it. There's enough players to yield a team. Yeah, the Finns, they're short. If they have a couple of injuries, they're probably in trouble. And if they have an issue next year, maybe the Russians do come in.
But then what other country? There's obviously not enough Germans. I'm trying to think of other countries that have a lot of.
So here I'm going to go through the Swedish team, and you tell me what you think about this lineup in like real life. Okay, we're going to go through all the teams' lineups. You've got Victor Arvidsson, Jesper Bratt, Leo Carlsson, Joel Eriksson Ek, Philip Forsberg, William Karlsson, Adrian Kempe, Elias Lindholm, William Nylander, Gustav Nyquist, Lucas Raymond, Elias Pettersson, Mika Zibanejad, Rasmus Andersson, Jonas Broden, Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Ekholm, Gustav Flansling, Eric Karlsson, Victor Hedman. I mean, just listen to that team. That's incredible. Now let's look at Canada. Sam Bennett, Anthony Cirelli, Sid Crosby, Brandon Hagel, Seth Jarvis, Travis Konechny, Nathan McKinnon.
Bunch of jerks.
Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, Connor McDavid, Braden Point, Sam Reinhart, Mark Stone, Cal McCarr, Josh Morrissey, Colton Paracco, Alex Pietrangelo, Travis Seinhem, Shea Theodore, Devin Taves, Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill. I mean, did you hear the team I just read off? That's incredible. I mean, that's an incredible roster. Like you'll never see a team like that again. That's probably the best. These are probably the best teams to ever be put together in a meaningful set of hockey games. The All-Star game is not like this. And these guys are playing for their country. But it's the best. I mean, this, and I'm not kidding, D'Lo. These four teams are probably the best hockey teams that have been put together at this level to play. It's incredible. You got to watch a game. Find time, watch a replay. You have to watch it. You have to.
Maybe if not doing anything, I'll watch a championship game, but I don't know.
I don't know why.
When is the championship game?
Thursday.
Oh, I don't have a game.
Why are you boycotting it? I'm just curious.
I just don't think it's. I think
watched the game. So
I think it's a waste of time. I don't think I'm just not into this thing. They'd be better off not having a break in the NHL and the regular season. I mean, the regular season is going to go until almost May because of
I get it. You're a little sour because you haven't watched. You missed the best game so far. Probably. I mean, it's that game last night. The way that it started and the way that it played was very close to the Wings Avalanche. Like I could see. Like I was waiting for the goalies to come out of the nets.
That doesn't happen in international play, though. No, it's not like an NHL.
3 fights in 9 seconds. This is not what you think. This is not what you're thinking.
I'm just not big.
I don't watch. Go ahead.
I'm just not big. International play doesn't really interest me. It's not like NHL.
I was the same way. I couldn't get it, but that wasn't. But this is different. And I've already told you why it's different. Because the international play that you're talking about and what I'm talking about right now that I thought was like the juniors, where it's a bunch of guys who are just prospects, up and coming. Maybe a couple of guys who are rookies are playing in it, or maybe second-year guys, but it's not. You're not talking your all-stars. You're not talking your superstars. You're talking just no-name guys. They just haven't broke it yet. Like, they just haven't made the league. And they're playing in an international tournament. Like, it was cool. It was like a cool thing, I'm sure. And a lot of people in the hockey world got into it. I just couldn't. I didn't get into it because I didn't know anybody out there. This is like taking... I'll put it in terms that you'll understand here. You go on your PS4 or 5 or whatever you have, Xbox, you turn it on. You start your game and you choose, we'll just say NHL All-Star East, NHL All-Star West, and you actually play it full speed. You fight anything that happens in the game with the best players in the world. You do that. It just plays out. If there's a fight, there's a fight. If there's a hard check, there's a hard check. If somebody gets hurt, they get hurt.
But there's not really a lot of hitting because there's international play. They don't want. It's not NHL. They don't want to.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Get hurt or injured.
Don't comment. Don't comment because you haven't watched one game. So don't sit there and tell me there's no hitting because this game was violent. There was a lot of hitting. There's a lot of after whistle stuff. It was a gritty, hard game. There was a ton of hitting. U.S. is hitting everybody. They were hitting the Finns. They were hitting everybody. So if you want to watch a game and then tell me again how there's no hitting and it's boring international, this is an NHL tournament.
But they don't. They're not playing NHL rules, though.
What do you mean they're not playing NHL rules?
It's an international tournament, so they're playing international rules.
Sure, but it's all NHL players. And what rules are different? Because I haven't noticed any difference in gameplay. In terms of like the scoring, yes, that's different because you get points for goals like 4, you get points for regulation wins, you get points for overtime wins. Just some are worth more than others.
And since when do you get 3 points for a win? It's 2 points. Win is 2 points.
But I'm telling you, I know you're probably pissed off. You have to watch at least the championship game. The U.S. is in it. Just watch it. It's exciting. It's fast. It's hard hitting. I mean, McDavid's goal in their game the other day was just absolutely unbelievable. The amount of skill on that ice is just, I mean, it's just incredible. I wish I was there. I wish I was at that game. Boo the anthem, whatever they had to do. I would have been pissed about it, but to watch that game would have been absolutely incredible. And I think we'll see a rematch on Thursday, potentially, if the Canadians can beat the Finns. But it's a good tournament, D-Law. Like, honestly, if you can make time, just watch a little bit of it, and just see if you don't get into it, it's just not for you. It's fine. Like, but I'm just saying, I'm very excited by it, and I think knowing you would enjoy it.
Oh, but anyway, speaking of Ovechkin, he's back. He's only 16 away from getting the record. He's
going to do it this year.
879 now, and he's got 1,465 games played. So he's got to do it. He's got 22 games to do it in quicker games, or to do it quicker than Gretzky. So, kind of hope he does, because then people will be like, "Whoa, he did it in more games than Gretzky," and blah blah blah. But anyway, the Capitals do have 27 games remaining, and according to the Capitals TV network, he is on pace to break it on April 10th versus Carolina, which is on it's on ESPN Plus. I think it's a exclusive game for them. Which, I mean, I don't know if they did that on purpose, but I think it was already planned. I mean, it was already scheduled that way. Being Washington and Carolina, which that game is in itself is going to be a huge game anyway. And then if he can, break it, then that would even be more huge. But surprisingly, Ovechkin's only got one hat trick this season, and that was against Vegas in a 5-2 win on November 17th. So, but he has had 4 multi-goal games this season. One came early in the season versus the Rangers. He had 2 goals. And then again at St. Louis in early November, he had 2 goals in that one. And then the Vegas game, we just sent 3 goals, and then the day after that at Utah, he had 2 goals. And just the most recent game against Utah, he had 3 assists. No, he didn't have any goals, but so yeah. And also, speaking of Utah and Washington, a goaltender that's kind of wish that the Preds still had, but kind of a bad situation because they lost him because they were sending him down. I know we talked about that a couple of years ago. I think it was Connor Ingram. He actually got injured in that game against Washington, so hopefully he'll come back, because Utah's, they were playing really well with him. So even though they're they're actually not too far behind the wild card, but they're that could be a huge blow for them. But I think, did we mention last show that Harmon? I know we mentioned him getting suspended, but I I thought we knew how many games, but I mean, obviously we talked about that earlier as far as 10 games, but it was definitely warranted.
Of course.
I mean, the 10 games definitely, because it was just, we talked about that last show, so I don't want to rehash into that, but
Last one.
just before we roll into our PredWings 10, I don't know if you remember Louis Erickson. Recently played for Dallas. I don't remember some of the other teams that he played on. 18 season, and he's retiring. So obviously, probably time. 18 seasons is quite a long time, and he was pretty successful. Let me see what his stats were real quick. Let's see. He played for Boston as well. So he had 250. He had played 1,050 games, and he had 253 goals and 360 assists. So I mean, that's respectable. I mean, he was also. I think he was kind of small, but I always saw him as a more kind of a physical player, but he's kind of small to be a hitter. But yeah, he played for Dallas, Boston, Vancouver, and he started with Arizona. I think he was probably drafted by Arizona. Oh, he was a second. Oh, he was second round pick of Dallas in 2003. So they had some pretty high hopes. So not a bad. I mean, second round pick, you probably want more than 200 and some goals, but it was obviously successful career, and wish him the best in his retirement. Maybe he'll be a commentator for somebody, or assistant coach or scout or something. But so let's see. Next week we can do the sports betting hot topic because we have no recaps. So actually, yeah, real quick for the PredWings 10. My PredWings 10, obviously, I did it a couple weeks ago, but obviously there was no game. Actually, I did it after the last game before the break. So I got Winnipeg on top. They are obviously lead.
Let's do it. Can we try something different tonight, D-Law? You say your top one, and I'll say my top one.
Okay.
We'll
Okay. Yeah.
how they compare.
Yeah, and
with Winnipeg.
So yeah, Winnipeg, they're first in NHL, 81 points. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So
they've won 8 straight.
So, and then second I got Washington. They are. So you guess Washington, and they're
6-1-3.
6-1-3. They got they're just a point behind Winnipeg. Obviously number 1 in the East, and then I have for number 3 I got Edmonton. I
got Dallas.
So see Dallas. Let's see.
They're 7-2-1 in their last. They won just before the break.
And Edmonton.
Yeah, what do you got them for?
They were playing really well. They're 5-4-1, but they're just a team that you got to watch out for. It's not just Connor McDavid. I think the most, and I said this last season, Draisaitl. You may think McDavid is the best player, but Draisaitl can do a lot more. He's a totally all-around game, and the goals he scores are really, I mean, they pretty amazing goals himself.
Yeah, I think number 4, I've got Florida.
I have Carolina, and that's Carolina is 6-3-1. They are third in the East. They were second, but Florida. They just won. They're on a 2-game winning streak. And they're 7-3. So
7-3-0 on their last.
And then
game,
at 5 I got Florida, so Carolina, Florida, and
see, at number 5 I've got Edmonton.
Edmonton, and I mentioned Florida, and then in number 6 I got Dallas.
See, I've got Vegas.
And Vegas.
See, Vegas, they've won their last 2. They had 3 overtime games, but they're playing all right. They're playing good. They're playing good hockey.
And then 7th, I got Vancouver. They're 6-3-1. They're on a 3-game winning streak.
See, I'm throwing the Wings up there. I'm taking a huge jump because they're hot. I'm not saying that they're the most powerful team in the league, but they're playing hot. They're playing good. They lost their last one, but they're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're clicking, and like I had said earlier in the show, the nucleus is coming together. So I'm throwing Detroit up there. I'm going to give them a little love right now.
And then 8th, I have Tampa Bay. They are playing. They're like one of the hottest teams. Let's see where.
See, I'm going Minnesota.
Minnesota. So let me see real quick. Tampa Bay. Oh, Tampa Bay is on a 3-game winning streak. Same thing with Toronto, and
Tampa's on a 4-game win streak.
Oh, 4. Okay, 4. So they won. They just won their last.
They beat Detroit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot to update that.
Yeah, they're on a 4-game win streak. They're my 8th, Tampa.
And then 8th. I thought 8th was Minnesota.
Or I'm sorry, 9th. 9th is Tampa Bay.
9th, I have Toronto.
Okay.
And that's they're also let's see, are they still 3-game winning? Toronto is 2nd in. They just lost one, but they're 6-4, and they're 2nd. They're
Where
just
do you have them at 9?
Yeah, they're just 3 points behind Florida for their division. So, and then rounding out the top 10, I have Detroit.
I've got Colorado. How ironic is that?
Because if Detroit would have won that game against Tampa Bay, I probably would have had them up a little bit higher, just because of the hot streak. But some of the other teams, and my team of the week, actually, I couldn't decide between the two, Boston and the Islanders. The Islanders are 7-3. They're just 4 points behind 4 points behind Detroit, and Boston is just a point behind Detroit for the wild card. So that's why I decided to. That's why I had both of them, Boston Islanders, in the team of the week. I don't know if you have one or not.
Have one what?
Team of the week.
Yeah, my team of the week is Detroit.
Oh, even though they're in like 7th, I try to have a team of the week that's not in my top 10 just because. But
like a team that's out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's just me.
I'm going Vancouver.
But
I'm going Vancouver on that one.
So, I know I don't really want to go into this.
They're 6-3-1, and they've won their last 3.
Yeah, I actually have Vancouver in 7th on my list. But just briefly, I'm not going to spend too much time, and we don't really talk about Super 16, but just real quick, just to see, they're pretty much in line with us. They have Winnipeg, Washington, Edmonton, Dallas, Carolina, Toronto, Florida, Vegas, Minnesota, New Jersey, and then Colorado, the Kings, Ottawa, Detroit, they have at 14, and Tampa Bay, Columbus. And Columbus was in mine last week, and they too many. But so I mean, my top 3 line in with theirs. And Dallas. I mean, you got them a little bit higher, but it's just, I mean, they're pretty much right in line with us. So, and they're experts supposedly, or I think they're mainly sports writers. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So I guess that's it for that. And then we don't in the weekly as far as the weekly picks, we don't really have any. But I just want to say the Ottawa Predators. Ottawa, you were correct on that one. I was wrong, and we both were wrong on Chicago. I guess we both thought they were going to win. Go figure. We're both right on Buffalo, and you still have a 3 lead, 30-27 on the Preds side, and I'm only 50% on the Preds. And then as far as Detroit, we were both correct on Seattle, and guess who was right on Tampa Bay? And you were incorrect.
Yeah, I know.
I hope I didn't jinx Detroit. But
No, you're good.
that gives me a 2-game winning streak, and I needed it because I'm still 2 behind you.
Yeah, I just went for it.
33-31, but I'm actually a better percentage on Detroit than Predators. I'm 56%, but you're a whopping 60%. So I guess you know Detroit this year, and I can't figure out Florida Predators.
Nobody can. You're not alone.
Overall, 63-58. So I need to. I think I won last year. I don't remember, but so the next games aren't until 22nd, so we don't have to do any picks until probably next week. I think. Let's see next week's show. Actually, they're going to be. The game started up on Saturday. Not sure if we're going to record on our new day this week or if we're going to record next week. So let's just go with until the 24th. Let's start with the Detroit side.
I'm going win against Minnesota. I'll win against Anaheim, and I know I'm one day ahead. And on the 25th, as of now, I'm going for a loss in Minnesota. I think that'll be the one that we lose.
Detroit, that's in Detroit on the 22nd. I think they're going to win that one. I know they're still home. They got a 3-game road trip or a 3-game homestand. I think they're going to lose to Anaheim, and then they're going to lose to Minnesota. For the Preds, 22nd home. They're Buffalo game was a home. They got a 5-game homestand coming up. They got Colorado coming in on Saturday. After the break, they're probably going to win, but I'm going to say a loss. And then they got New Jersey. New Jersey's playing really well. They're going to lose to them. And then they got Florida coming in. I think they're going to shock Florida because Florida's been kind of funny this year. So I think that's going to be a win.
I'm going a loss against Colorado. I think they're going to beat New Jersey, and I think they're going to beat Florida.
Okay.
Before we wrap this up, can you go on and look in the message I sent you on Facebook? I want you to open that up really quick. Tell me if you can see it. Can you see it? That is just one player on 2 separate hits. That's the game. Are you seeing it? Like, see how hard they're playing? They're not letting up. McDavid got rocked. The second one is McDavid.
Are they teammates?
No, that's Charlie McAvoy hit
Connor
McDavid.
Oh.
No, they're laying the lumber, man. They're hitting. Marchand's out there, yep. They're playing hockey. This isn't a international fest like you think. But I just wanted you to see that.
It's going to be interesting then after the break, and playing that physical style. Are those players that are in there? Are they going to get worn out? And then the players that are having on the break that aren't in there, they might get that rest. So, you get these stars that are in there. Are they going to get worn out?
It's certainly a risk. There's no doubt about it.
I guess we'll see Saturday when they resume.
Yeah, we'll find out then.
But I think that's about it for this show. So we'll see you on our next show coming up. But our social media, again, Facebook and Instagram, we're at PredWings. It's PredWings Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And X and YouTube is at PredWings Pod. And as always, you can follow us, listen and follow on Podbean. And email us at predwingspodcast@gmail.com. So then, thank you for tuning in to the PredWings Podcast.
Good night, Hockey Town.
See ya, Smashville.